Have you ever wondered why happiness feels so hard to find? Here's the real deal. Suffering doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from how your mind reacts to it. And here's the key point. You have the power to change that. Today, let's dive into how you can experience real happiness, the kind that comes from within. Ready to get started? Ever thought about how birds, with their tiny brains, wake up every day and live in perfect harmony with the world around them? They don't plot revenge or dwell on past worries. Now, look at us humans with our advanced intelligence. We're stuck in endless inner battles, even with all the incredible things we could achieve. It's like owning a high-performance sports car, but only driving it around the block. Doesn't make sense, right? So, why do we keep falling into this cycle of self-inflicted suffering? Think about what it would be like to live as simply as a cat basking in the sun, or a bee tirelessly working for its hive without complaints. Human intelligence, while amazing, often turns us into our own worst enemies. We spend so much time stuck in negative thoughts that we lose touch with the simple joys of life. Here's the paradox. The smarter we are, the harder it seems to be happy. A great example. Getting stressed out in traffic while the dog in the back seat is just enjoying the ride. But hold on, this doesn't mean we should ditch our intelligence. Quite the opposite. We need to use it to learn from nature. Next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, would a bird stress over this? It might sound silly, but it's a practical way to break the cycle. Little reminders like this act as shortcuts to a more balanced life. Speaking of shortcuts, have you ever thought about how using your mind destructively only adds to your suffering? Let's dig deeper into this idea of inner turmoil. Have you noticed how most of our suffering doesn't come from the world around us, but from our own minds? Picture this. Someone criticizes you. Their words last maybe 5 seconds, but you replay it in your head for hours, days, or even weeks. It's like your mind has a replay button stuck on max volume. So, is it the criticism itself or your reaction to it that's causing the pain? Sadhguru explains that we're like engineers of our own mental misery. Take someone who has every reason to be happy, a loving family, good health, financial stability, but they still find reasons to feel dissatisfied. Why? Because their thoughts and emotions aren't under control. Want a quick exercise? When you catch yourself spiraling into negativity, replace it with something that brings you gratitude, like a recent accomplishment, or a happy memory with a friend. It's ironic, isn't it? Despite our intelligence, we constantly sabotage ourselves. It's like driving a car with the brakes on. You're putting in so much effort, but going nowhere. Realizing that suffering isn't imposed by the external world, but is created internally, is a game changer. Because if you're the one creating it, you can also dismantle it. And speaking of dismantling, could it be that our biggest challenge lies in this unique human privilege we barely understand? Let's explore that next. Humans are a wonder of evolution, equipped with brains capable of imagining, creating, and transforming the world around them. Ironically, it's this very privilege that often throws us into chaos. Think about it. We have incredible internal tools, yet we were never handed a manual on how to use them. It's like giving someone a state-of-the-art laptop and watching them only use it to play solitaire. Without mastering our minds, we're like kids playing with fire, bursting with potential, but lacking direction. Look at nature, and you'll see no other creature suffers as much as we do over things that haven't even happened. A lion in the wild doesn't lose sleep worrying about what might go wrong tomorrow. But humans, with their extraordinary intelligence, can create imaginary scenarios that leave them paralyzed. Take public speaking as an example. Many avoid it because they fear failure. That fear isn't real, it's a projection. Yet it dictates their decisions, holding them back from growth. This powerful human mind can be either a gift or a trap. It all depends on how we choose to use it. And this is where understanding our inner workings becomes essential. Let's face it, if we don't learn how to control this tool, it's going to control us. Which brings us to an intriguing question. Is there a way to hack this system and discover genuine happiness? Let's dive into that. Imagine being handed the most advanced device in the world, one that can do everything from calculating rocket trajectories to composing music. But there's a catch. You didn't get the user manual. That's exactly what it's like having the human mind. Sadhguru calls this inner engineering, a practice that teaches us how to operate this sophisticated tool. After all, how can we expect lasting happiness when we don't even know how our minds work? The key to this engineering is simple: becoming aware of what's happening inside you. Think back to the last time you lost your temper or felt overwhelmed. Those moments weren't caused by the outside world, but by a lack of control over your emotions and reactions. Want a practical exercise? Spend 5 minutes a day observing your thoughts without judgment. It might seem small, but it's the beginning of a significant internal shift. This isn't just a theory, it's like learning to drive. At first, it feels awkward, but with time, it becomes second nature. Here's the big question: if we can consciously use our minds, would we still rely so much on external factors for happiness? That leads us to the next point: finding balance between internal and external control. How many times have you waited for the world around you to change so you could finally be happy? Maybe you thought a raise at work or the perfect relationship would fix everything. But here's the problem: external circumstances are always out of our control. It's like waiting for the weather to be perfect before stepping outside. You could be waiting forever. Sadhguru teaches that true happiness doesn't come from something or someone outside. It comes from within. Stop and reflect. How much power are you giving to things outside of you? The truth is, the more you rely on external factors for happiness, the more unstable your life becomes. But when you start mastering your internal world, you'll see that no matter what's happening around you, peace and joy are within reach. And that's not just empowering, it's life-changing. Think about it. If your happiness relied on traffic, other people's behavior, or the global economy, you'd always be at risk. A great example is the classic, "I'm happy because it's Friday. Why limit your joy to one day?" Instead, building internal stability is like creating an unshakable fortress. Meditation and self-awareness are practical tools to achieve this. Try this. Pick a small thing that annoys you, like waiting in line. Next time it happens, take a deep breath and see how you can turn that moment into an opportunity to practice patience. When we learn to maintain inner control, everything changes. The highs and lows of the external world become mere passing waves, while you stay steady in calm waters. This brings us to an important question. If the external world is so unstable, why do we keep looking for validation and pleasure in it? Let's dig deeper into this idea. That smile you get from a like on Instagram, or the happiness of buying something new, is like a firework, bright and exciting, but short-lived. Sadhguru explains that this constant search for external validation is one of the greatest human traps. It's like drinking salt water to quench your thirst. It feels good for a moment, but it only makes things worse in the long run. True well-being doesn't come from what others think of you or what you own, but from how you feel inside. Have you noticed how genuine happiness often comes from simple things? It might be a dinner with friends or the relaxing silence of a peaceful morning. These moments show us that true joy doesn't need a big stage, it just needs presence and connection. Here's something to try. Spend a day without seeking validation, whether it's through social media or conversations. Just do what makes you happy for yourself. It's freeing to realize you are enough. The magic happens when we understand that lasting happiness is an inside job, not a gift from the outside world. When you reach this state, you no longer chase fleeting pleasures or temporary approval. Now that you know how to transform suffering into happiness, what will you do next? Start small. Observe your thoughts or practice patience in challenging situations. Every step matters. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and keep learning. Let's walk this journey together.